The most brutal punishments of Tiberius. Tiberius was known for his extreme punishments, particularly towards those who dared to question his authority. The Roman Empire witnessed some of the most brutal punishments in its history during the reign of Tiberius. From gruesome executions to cruel tortures, we'll uncover the shocking truth about how this emperor ruled with an iron fist. Let's delve into the dark and twisted world of ancient Rome and explore the brutal punishments of one of its most notorious emperors, Tiberius. The Bronze Bull. The Bronze Bull was a large metal sculpture of a bull designed to serve as an instrument of torture and execution. The accused would be placed inside the hollow bronze bull, and a fire would be lit underneath. As the temperature rose, the metal would heat up and the victim would be slowly roasted alive. The bull was designed to amplify the screams and cries of the victim, making their suffering all the more agonizing. This form of punishment was not only painful, but also psychologically terrifying. The victim would experience extreme fear and terror as they were placed inside the bull, knowing that they were about to face a slow and painful death. The bronze bull was also designed to serve as a warning to others. The executioner would often carry out the punishment in public so that others could witness the gruesome spectacle. Fight with wild beasts. In this form of punishment, the accused was left to be eaten by wild beasts like lions, tigers, and bears. It also sometimes involved crocodiles. This was a barbaric and inhumane form of punishment. The accused would be brought to an arena or a coliseum where they would be stripped naked and tied to a post or a stake. Wild animals, such as lions, tigers, or bears, would then be released into the arena to attack and kill the victim. The victim would often experience a prolonged and agonizing death as they were mauled and torn apart by the wild animals. Roman citizens watched in horror as the victims screamed and fought for their life, adding to the gruesome spectacle. Feeding someone to wild animals was a form of public execution designed to entertain and horrify the population. Sewn inside a sack with animals. This punishment was used during the reign of Tiberius as a way to punish those who had violated the strict social norms around sexual behavior. In this punishment, the accused woman would be sewn inside a sack along with a snake, a dog, and a rooster. The sack would then be tied and thrown into the sea, where the woman would be left to drown with the animals. The snake would bite and poison the woman, the dog would bite and tear at her, and the rooster would peck at her. The victim would be left to struggle and suffer a slow and painful death. This punishment was designed to be both humiliating and terrifying. The accused woman would be stripped of her clothes and dignity and then forced to face a brutal and agonizing death. It was intended to serve as a warning to other women by demonstrating the severity of the punishment for those who violated the strict social norms around sexual behavior. Flogging, beat to death. Flogging was a common form of punishment during the reign of Tiberius and was used for a wide range of offenses. Flogging involved beating the accused with a whip or rod, causing pain and injury to the body. The accused would be stripped and tied to a post or a tree, and the punishment would be carried out in public to humiliate the accused. Flogging was considered a particularly degrading punishment because it involved the exposure of the body and the infliction of pain and injury. It was used for a variety of offenses, including disobedience, theft, and insulting the emperor. The severity of the punishment often depended on the social status of the accused, with slaves and lower-class citizens receiving more severe punishments than the wealthy and the nobility. Flogging was often carried out by soldiers or other members of the military who were trained in the use of the whip or rod. The punishment was intended to be painful and humiliating, and it was designed to serve as a deterrent to others who might consider committing similar offenses. Excruciating crucificatum. Tiberius ordered the crucifixion of thousands of people during his reign, including those accused of rebellion and insurrection. It was one of the most brutal and common forms of punishment during the reign of Tiberius. Those accused of rebellion or insurrection against him were often crucified in public as a warning to others. Crucifixion involved nailing the accused to a wooden cross or stake and leaving them to die slowly and painfully over several days. The victim was often stripped naked and whipped before being crucified, and their hands and feet were nailed to the cross. The physical pain of crucifixion was excruciating, as the weight of the body pulled down on the hands and feet, causing extreme pain and discomfort. The victim would also suffer from dehydration, hunger and exposure to the elements, as they were left to die in the open air. Crucifixion was also a form of public humiliation, as the victim's body was left on display for all to see. It was considered a particularly shameful way to die, as it was associated with criminals and slaves. The sight of crucified bodies lining the roads was intended to instill fear and obedience in the population, reminding them of the consequences of disobeying Tiberius. Throwing off the cliff. This punishment was typically reserved for those who had committed serious crimes. The executioner would take the accused to a cliff or a high place and then push them off the edge. The victim would then fall to their death, often suffering injuries from the fall before dying. The height of the cliff varied, but it was typically high enough to ensure that the victim would not survive the fall. The victim would experience fear and terror as they were pushed off the edge, and then suffer injuries and pain as they fell to their death. Throwing someone off a cliff was also a form of public execution, designed to serve as a warning to others.